everybody, I'm Joey Evans.
And I'm Chris Yee.
And we are back with Pick 6. And we are doing Ticket to Ride.
Okay, yes.
Chris, have you played Ticket to Ride?
No.
All right, but he knows games that are like it.
No, I played Ticket to Ride. I played a lot of Ticket to Ride, man.
Lots of, we played one together, Legacy. So this was one, it's like one of the quintessential games that people that aren't gamers still play, right?
People who tend to be gamers still have either fond memories or still come back to it. Hey, there's a different expansion map, check it out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I really like Ticket to Ride, and I think with some of the expansion maps, it's still something I happily come back to regularly.
Yes.
The Legacy Edition, you know, adding to that, beefing it up and everything. But even the core box, it's still just fun playing the app.
It is. I mean, I like having a core box, and I have one of the shorter ones. Like I think we have Ticket to Ride, and then the New York one, just to have the shorter 30-minute thing too.
Right.
But now with these, the biggest thing with these Pick 6 is people are going to wonder, well, that's not similar theme-wise at all, mechanically at all. It's really about branching out, getting people to branch out and try things that are similar but have different maybe mechanics or themes. How did you kind of go about putting your list together?
Yeah, I tried to isolate a part of Ticket to Ride that makes it engaging and makes it fun, and then say, hey, if you like that, this is a good next step, right? Try something that has some familiarity to it, whether it be theme or whether it be a mechanism or whether it be a general feel, and then, hey, here's another game that would be great to try if you like that part of it.
Okay. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so my first one is going to be a game that it's similar because I like how bright it is. The theme is outside. This one is Trekking Through History. Trekking Through History, I like it. Here's a write-up from the designer I wrote down, which I like. We designed Trekking Through History for gamers and non-gamers to play together, and it's got to be a game inviting for non-gamers, but a little subtlety under the hood that is good for gamers too.
You didn't tell me we're preparing quotes for this.
Oh, I've got a quote from every designer. You don't?
I got a quote from Archimedes.
Do you?
I have a quote from Stalin.
Okay, what game is that for?
You'll surprise.
All right, spoiler. But okay, with Ticket to Ride, you get that real world feel. There's also trekking through the natural parks or national parks, whatever.
The natural parks.
Natural parks. I like the trekking through history. But for me, this game shines on the time track. I love that whole moving your pocket watch and deciding if that's worth it to move your time up on the track to be able to get that card and all this. This is one that if I know someone likes Ticket to Ride, jumping into this is really a sidestep, and also shows them a bit more variation.
The first two games in this series, there's Trekking Through History. The previous one's Trekking National Parks,
right.
Trekking the World. Those two are more directly analogous to Ticket to Ride, with the kind of the card draw and the card play mechanism. This one's a good next step, and so I'm glad that you picked this one. I had thought of this one. It didn't make my 3 picks, but I'm really glad that you mentioned it because I think that it's a very smooth game. It has more mechanisms going on. It kind of teaches us some set collection, and like you said, time track is a great mechanism, but it's not really that much more complex than Ticket to Ride strategically nor rules overhead-wise.
Exactly. At Ticket to Ride, I think people gravitate to it because it's kind of a real-world game. You know, and this also has that too, because I honestly learn a lot every time I play this game.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. All right. I'm picking here a game that has a very similar theme to Ticket to Ride of sort. Well, it's got trains. This one's called Switch and Signal. Have you played this one?
I have not.
Okay. It's a great cooperative game. And what's different about you have a hand of cards that drives the action, but the trains are going to be moving on their own at the end of each round. You know, a lot of cooperative games tend to be you do some good stuff, and then the game does some bad stuff against you. It's your turn again, do some good stuff. This one's a different format, because this is a pick up and deliver game that everyone around the table is trying to help each other and trying to complete, hey, deliver all these cubes to the right cities. But at the end of the round, the pressure ramps up because you'll flip over a card for the end of each turn or end of each round that moves the trains forward. If you don't play your cards to open up the right railways, make sure that a city is ready to take a train in, just playing your cards that make switch and open up signals or close signals, then those trains start, having to screech to a halt. They get damaged, and you're gonna lose the game if you cause too many accidents and stuff. People don't like that with trains.
No.
Yeah.
They frown on it.
It is frowned upon.
IRL.
And so it's neat to have this game where, at the same time, even though the thing that's happening automatically is that the trains are moving, that's good because it's a pick up and delivery game. The trains need to get to the cities to pick up the goods to go to the end point of the delivery. And so you have to work together. Like I said, familiar enough because it's trains, because you have these cards in hand. But I like this cooperative spin on a train game like this.
Now, complexity-wise, is that right on line at Ticket to Ride or a bit more down the road?
For people, if you're coming to Ticket to Ride very new, this is one of your favorite games, you haven't branched out, it's going to feel different. One, because you have to know how to run the game itself, because it's cooperative. You're all on the same team, and that means the game is going to kind of run some things automatically. So I think it'll ask a little bit more of the players, but it's not too difficult. It's very welcoming game, I think.
Okay, all right. That's a good one. I need to play that.
You really should. For the third pick here, I wanted to go a little bit more familiar to the idea of connecting different places. Ticket to Ride is so satisfying because you're connecting one spot to another.
Okay.
So this pick is called Caesar's Empire. This is a game that I really love
You really
teaching.
do. I need to play this game.
Yeah, no, you really should. You're a big slacker, McFly.
Hello. This is your top 100, right?
This is in my top 10.
Really?
Yeah, no, and it's a very simple game. All you're doing is, this game embodies the quote, all roads lead to Rome. There's a central city of this map called Rome. And every turn you're just building out a new road that connects from Rome out to a new city, and you're collecting little, different types of goods and stuff. But then you score points for each road that leads back to that central city. And if it's your roads, you score a point for each of them. If it's other players' roads, they score points as well. And so what's fun is it has that very easy familiarity of connect things.
Right.
That's a very satisfying thing to do. What our little synaptic brains love doing that. But this kind of teaches those elements that in some games you do something not to hurt other players, but they will benefit from it too. But maybe you're setting yourself up so that other players will, in order to help themselves, have to benefit you along the way. I love that about this game. There's so much what I call positive interaction. Everybody's helping each other, but you're trying to help yourself the most.
All right, that's interesting. It's so funny. I haven't played either one on your list. But this one, I know, if it's in your top 10, I got to give it a try.
Okay. Yeah. No, I really recommend it. It's the company that publishes it is not currently in business, but there's still copies out there. So I don't feel bad recommending it. Caesar's Empire. I love this one.
Okay. All right, so mine actually this is the same thing, kind of route building type thing, but then you're going to throw a stock element in there, and then you're also going to move those trains up in the air. You know what this game is?
Are you picking Airlines Europe?
I am not. I'm going a little bit more a sidestep there.
Okay.
And this is PanAm.
Oh!
Yeah, so PanAm is one that I walk by several times because the artwork is very PanAm. It's like you walk by that so many times, it's a Target, all these big bucks, and you're like, no. I remember sitting down to play it, I'm like, this is interesting because it's all about route building. You're getting those routes, but you're also a small airline company that wants to eventually be a part of PanAm, and you're going to then you also will take your planes and you're going to upgrade bigger planes, and that stock element adds that just a little bit more than Ticket to Ride has. Mm-hmm. So that's what I like. This one kind of is really the next step, and it has that really cool retro feel. And have you played this one?
I have. I love this game, right?
I do too.
I love the fact that your role in this game is not PanAm. You're a small, dinky little kind of local airline.
Me, yeah.
And then when PanAm will start expanding out, buying your routes, you're like, yeah, buy my route. Give me tons of money. It feels good. And then you're investing in PanAm stocks.
It is. Your goal is to retire.
Yeah.
It's like, you buy me out. It's really, I like this game a lot more than I thought I would, and it's a great sidestep from Ticket to Ride. I mean, it's great, it's classic, it's PanAm. Okay, so now the fifth pick here. This is probably the biggest stretch to go over, because the big thing is, yes, exactly like that.
I'm getting my slapping arm ready. Here we go.
It's going to hurt. Because this is the biggest thing with this, is trying to get people to branch out and try different mechanics. So I'm like, I want to get them more into worker placement is a good place to go from that pattern to the route building. And I had to go with the OG worker placement and not based in the real world. Any ideas?
Bus?
Now, this is Lords of Waterdeep. Lords of Waterdeep.
That's not the OG worker placement. But
It is not. It's for me.
Yeah.
No, it is definitely not. But this is the one I go to, I guess, more modernly.
This was a lot of people's first worker placement.
It
really
was,
is.
and I think this is the one that I think is the oldest one I'll keep going back to.
Okay.
You know, and we're, you know, for you that don't know, Lords of Waterdeep is in the D&D style universe, but just barely. I mean, it's like, it's really, if people are like the real world and they're like, I don't want any of that fantasy, all this. Even this one, they're going to kind of jump in and try, because it's worker placement.
All the Dungeons and Dragons players are getting their commenting fingers right. You get it sort of in the D&D universe? Don't you know? Lord Halifax the 17th of...
Okay, I agree. It is stick, but you know what I mean. It's not full-on dungeon crawl.
You're by no means playing Dungeons and Dragons. You don't have to worry about that. You're playing a fun little collect cubes to turn them in for, you know, for recipes, basically. Type
Exactly. And that for me is that thought process that goes into Ticket to Ride is, I think that same thing is here with placing the workers out there and getting that synergy and that system going.
Because you're trying to complete quests, and those
Right.
kind of like collecting the tickets in Ticket to Ride.
Exactly. So I like this. And again, I like side steps that do new mechanics and maybe a new theme, and this is definitely a new theme. So for people that just stick to Ticket to Ride.
Joey, I get the last pick here.
You do.
This is one that instantly, when you said, hey, you know, let's talk about some games that are similar to Ticket to Ride,
Give me some hints.
I assumed that you were going to pick it. It's one that we for sure both played.
Yes.
Okay. There's two versions. The original of this game is called Ethnos.
Right.
And then the current edition that's available is called Archaeos Society.
Right.
Both of them, I think, are phenomenal. I prefer the original Ethnos a little bit more.
I do too.
And so how this works is you are collecting cards, just like in Ticket to Ride, and trying to make sets of them. But what I love about this is that you then have to play sets of them in order to... In Ethnos, you put little markers out into these different areas of this map to show that you have control of it.
Right.
The other cards that were in your hand then get thrown into the middle, and other players can start picking from those. And so unlike in Ticket to Ride, where you can just kind of draw up for the first half of the game if you want, and just have a massive hand of cards, this game says no. 10 card limit max. The ones that you don't play in a set, everyone else is going to be like vultures picking from them.
Yeah.
Man, that changes the dynamic a lot while still feeling so familiar. You know what I mean?
I agree. And it really goes into, I mean, Ethnos is one that surprised me because the artwork is so meh on the original. The gameplay is just so great.
It's so great. And Archaeos Society changes it from stacking discs on a map to moving forward on a track. I think much nicer artwork and everything.
is.
So, but there's just something I prefer about the slightly more competitive edge that
I do too.
Ethnos has. But Archaeos Society, I think, is fantastic. That's the one that's, I think, more in print right now.
Yeah, I think I too prefer the stack of the discs and seeing that power in each region and stuff. I like that. And so, but really it's about theme too. The theme of the Archaeos Society is really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there are a lot to fell off your list. So before, and in the comments, we'd like you to mention anything that you think is, you know, a good one for people who like Ticket to Ride, whether these are gamers or non-gamers, or honestly, Ticket to Ride is one of those games that friends of gamers play a lot.
Hey, that's a great way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's one I don't mind. Someone says, like, show me one of your games.
Right.
This is an easy one to kind of go to without overwhelming people.
Yeah. So the ones that I went past that are immediate are, one is Catan. Because Catan, I think I put with Ticket to Ride, but normally people that have played Ticket to Ride have probably either heard or said yes or no to Catan. So yeah, that was one of mine. And Stone Age.
Going to the worker placement kind of thing. Yeah.
Which another one is Splendor was one, because again, that's the same level of complexity, I think. And one I was going to talk about was Railroad Inc., because it has the railroad thing and it also introduces the roll and write. But I just didn't feel like it fit the list very well, and I'm not that crazy about the game.
It's a pretty good game. It is almost more esoteric, you know,
It is.
of a leap from Ticket to Ride, which is very simple. Railroading, you have to balance the two different types of things, the connections.
Yes.
Scoring is more oblique than compared to, like, I connect these two cities.
Right, you just connect the exits and you use the road, and it's just, I mean, barely, the train is the thread that goes in the middle, but that's it.
Yeah. The first one that I had thought of that didn't quite make the list is a game called New York 1901. This is from Blue Orange Games.
I have not played that. It's been sitting on my shelf forever.
It's a delight. It's the first Blue Orange game they came out with as more of like a hobby game, like at the level of Ticket to Ride. 'Cause they made like a lot of Spot It
Yeah.
and those type of family games. This was a great first entry for them. It has a row of cards out there, kind of like Ticket to Ride, but then you're putting your little workers on this board here to try to build up these skyscrapers. And it has a great aesthetic, it has a great look to it, and it's smooth, much like Ticket to Ride for me.
Nice.
And then the other one we talked about earlier, Airlines Europe. You juked me. I thought you were picking that one, but
I went PanAm.
PanAm. And the two of those games I think are comparable. Airlines Europe from the same designer as Ticket to Ride, actually. And I think a nice step up where you have airline routes to get stocks, and it's a delight. One of my favorite games.
You try those. So, all right, so that is 6 games to try if you like Ticket to Ride, and also a couple of bonus ones.
Absolutely.
So, all right, I'm Joey Evans.
And I'm Chris Yee.
And as Elvis said, I got a ticket to ride.
I've got a ticket to ride.
That was Elvis.
And
that's okay?
yeah.
It was Beatles.
You ain't nothing but a ticket to ride.
Michael Jackson.
Hey, yeah.